I will call the meeting of the Redwood Senior Recreation and Park District Board of Directors of February 7 call to order. Teresa, could you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Please stand and join with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Leonard?
Here.
Director Gray is absent. Director O'Brien?
Here.
Vice Chair Avila?
Here.
Chair Freeman?
Here. Agenda review?
Yeah, thank you, Chair and Board. Closed session items 13, C, D, E, and F are related to the open session item 9E. To the extent the board would like to meet in closed session before you consider item E, we can do that. If the board does not feel the need to do that, we cannot do the closed session items C, D, E, and F. It's your option.
So
Director Avila?
we can, I just want to understand, so we can, I think we've all, if I'm understanding, we've all had an understanding of this, so we don't need to meet in closed session.
Only if you want to, it's put on here if you wanted the option to meet in closed session before you consider item 9E in open session, your option.
In other words, if there was some issue or
If you gotta-
discussion
yeah.
related to that item.
Yeah,
Was there any new information that came up between?
that's what the close, if you have questions like that, that's why we would meet in closed session.
I don't
So we
think
have some time to think about it
Yeah.
before we get to the.
What I
case.
recommend you do, if you do want to meet in closed session, is we adjourn the open meeting after item D, go into closed session, and then come back into open session on item 9E.
Well, can I want to go back to Kate's question, just a
Yeah.
simple yes or no. I know we can't discuss it in open session. Is there any change from last time?
No,
Oh, then, I mean, I don't need to meet in closed
yeah,
session.
there's no change in
It's like a placeholder, just in case.
it.
I don't think we need to do that if there's no changes since the last time we talked about this.
I agree.
I
Okay.
agree.
All right, so we will probably not do closed session, we will not do closed session items 13. We'll pull closed session items 13, C, D, E, and F from the agenda.
But the others, we will go into closed session for.
Correct,
Yeah.
A and D, yes.
Right. All right, are there any public statements not related to items on the agenda? In the audience, I don't see anyone. Is there anyone on Zoom that has an issue they'd like to bring up at this time under public comment?
So I only see staff and a consultant on Zoom at this point.
Okay. None. Approval of minutes. First, we have the regular meeting of January 17, 2024. Were there any corrections or additions?
No. I just need a clarification. Josh Gray was Zoom on the January 17th meeting and here on the 25th, right? Because I remember him
Yes.
sitting here, but it was,
Yes.
okay. Then I have no questions
Okay.
or corrections.
Are there any public comments on that item? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
You guys-
second.
You guys want to approve all three sets at the same time? All three sets of minutes?
All three at
Or
the
just
same
the
time?
one?
Yes.
All right,
I'll move that we approve all three.
I'll second.
roll call?
Director Leonard?
Yes.
Director O'Brien? Yes. Vice Chair Avila?
Aye.
And Chair Freeman?
Aye.
That motion carries with unanimous vote.
I'll go to item 6, consent agenda. Are there any questions on the payable check register or the award of contract for custodial services, items A and B? Any questions?
I do have a question about that. Let me grab my notes.
Yes, Director Jenner?
I apologize, my board packet got out of order. Dan, you probably best be able to answer this. I'm looking at the contract for under the consent agenda for the restroom facilities.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't seen the price breakdown at all, but I'm just clarifying the monthly bid amount.
Uh-huh.
The money from St. Valley is from the St. Valley Fund, and the Oak Park Fund is from the Oak Park Fund.
Correct, we split these costs between the two areas of the district.
And we don't split by like any complicated formula, like percentage, it's just that's how much it costs, that's how much it comes out.
I believe that we do split by the size of the budget is usually our allocated methodology for these things, unless it's a direct expense to Oak Park. So if we share it, we usually do it on a percentage of population.
I don't need that information for this contract tonight, but just the next time we meet, I want to talk about that part.
Okay, yeah, I can explain that.
Any other questions? Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Or is there any public inquiries on items A and B of item 6? I see none in the Zoom or in the public. I have a motion.
Yes, I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call?
Director Dennert,
Yes.
Director O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair Avila,
Aye.
Chair Freeman.
Yes.
That motion carries with unanimous vote.
Go on to item 7, presentations, scheduled items and public hearings. The first is item A, presentation of the full-time employee of the month, for January 2024 to Brittany Wilson, Human Resources Coordinator.
Thank you, Chair and Board. Teresa Pennington, the District's Director of Administration, will present staff's report.
Chair Freeman and members of the board, the full-time employee of the month for January 2024 is Brittany Wilson. Brittany is the Human Resources Coordinator in the Administration Department. She's been with the district for over 7 years, and this is her 4th Employee of the Month award. Brittany received 2 nominations in the month of January. That's a little extra special. The first nomination submittal stated, Brittany has been an amazing asset to the district and its employees. During the recent open enrollment period, she was extremely helpful to employees with questions and inquiries regarding health care benefit needs. Numerous other employees have also stated that Brittany is always ready to help out whenever possible and always has a listening ear. It is really refreshing to know that we have someone like Brittany on our team. The second nomination that was submitted, the person stated, Brittany does so much for the district, she deserves to be recognized for her hard work. She handles issues that arise with employees, organizes interviews, and coordinates benefits and many other tasks behind the scenes. Brittany is responsible for making sure everyone in the district has their required training. She even schedules several sessions on different days at odd times so that hundreds of part-time district employees have the opportunity to come in and do the training. She took extra time out of her day to make sure she's available to staff if they have questions during that training. Brittany takes calls after hours to support staff when needed. She doesn't have to be a caring and kind person to get her job done, but she is. She finishes her daily tasks while making the time to make each employee feel heard and supported when needed. And may I just add, one of these was an anonymous submittal, and the other from a different department, which is always extra special to me when someone with a different department also recognizes her hard work. She does a great job every single day. And something I always acknowledge for Brittany is that she supports staff and follows policy. That's a very fine line of always advocating for our staff, but keeping us in compliance and making sure we all do the job we're supposed to do. So congratulations and great job.
Thank you, Chair. I also wanted to add, I'm consistently impressed by Brittany. She is extremely efficient and has a broad scope, processing thousands of applications a year in terms of review, along with the departments, but supporting the departments, but also signing up all of our part-time employees, the lifeguards, all the full-time employees. She deals with all of our benefits with the employees. So her efficiency and her organizational skills are outstanding, and how much work she gets done for this district is truly admirable. So thank you.
Let me just comment, I know she's thorough because she went back through the records and found that several years ago I didn't sign a form. And she found it, made me come in and sign the form, so.
That's impressive.
I know she's good.
Thank you.
Are there other comments by the board?
Yeah, I think you're a little too thorough sometimes. That's between me and her. You're awesome. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No, I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, two
throws.
nominations, it's really unique and unusual,
It
so
is.
congratulations. Let's get your picture taken. Come on, board. Would you like to say a few words at all?
Well, just thank you. I'm honored. I love what I do here, and I take it very seriously. And I appreciate the nomination, so thank you.
And now for item B, a very important part of our agenda tonight, the annual update on the Rancho Senior Recreation Park District Park Ranger Program.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Pennington and Mr. Rosales will present this item this evening. And we've got our two other full-time rangers here as well. If you have any questions.
Thank you for this opportunity to present an update of the Ranger program. We have a very brief, about 6-slide PowerPoint presentation to go over, and thought we'd go through that briefly, and then we have very capable staff to answer any questions that you might have.
Sounds good.
All right, so to start with, we thought we would just, just a quick update. The board is well aware that we now have 3 full-time rangers, and you'll see in some of the following stats that we have more observations, more visits to parks because of that, and we look forward to those numbers even increasing further in 2024. So we currently have 3 full-time rangers, 6 part-time rangers, and we are doing firearm training and qualification 6 times a year, and something that's been added is nighttime qualification. So the rangers have trained doing firearm qualifications at night, rainy weather, lights flashing. They've changed up the scenario instead of just basic daytime qualifications. All of the rangers have now been trained on tasers. Chief Rosales is our in-house trainer. He was trained himself, and now he's qualified to train our staff, and that occurs once a year. So they're all eligible to carry their tasers now. There's a photo there of the newest vehicle that's been added to the fleet. We're just awaiting a light bar to go on top of it, and then it'll be on the road. That's been ordered for a little while, a little delay in getting merchandise these days. And then another addition has been the Ventura County Regional ID System, which has been implemented. And RSRPD has assisted us with that new tool, so I was going to let him describe what that entails.
Hello, everybody. How are you? The other agency I came from, they had a mobile ID unit. Since we deal with a lot of people on the street and the parks and the arroyos, it's kind of hard to identify who people are, especially if we're trying to give them a ticket. They're usually going to lie to us. So this ID unit from Ventura County Sheriff's, you put their fingerprint on it, and it'll tell us exactly who they are. If they've been arrested, so if they haven't been arrested or had a DOJ clearance, like fingerprints, then we won't get a hit on it. But it'll be anything with arrest through Ventura County, through DOJ, FBI, it'll pop up with their picture and what crimes they've committed or if they have any warrants. So,
Have you had that happen?
which one?
Have you been able to identify people?
Yes, I think twice we've used it so far. Just we're waiting for just the policy and everything be signed, but I've used it twice, and nothing came out criminal on them, everything was clear, but we have to first have a reason to stop them, like probable cause, and then you can ID them. You can't just walk up to anybody and just ID them. So you have to have a reason to ID the person, and like if you're gonna give them a ticket, they say I don't have ID, then you can fingerprint them and then find out who they are. So, but we have used it twice, and we were able to ID them.
So these units were provided to us by the Ventura County Sheriff, and they got a grant to support the program. So we didn't pay anything for this program because it's sponsored by a grant through the Ventura County Sheriff's Office.
Very good, thanks.
And then, as you're aware, we now have electronic reporting for our Park Ranger program. It's a software program called TrackForce. And the rangers identify all of their activity. Observations just mean, every single time they hit a park, there could be an issue or just a non-issue. It might be just a patrol. You can see the numbers went up a bit by about a couple hundred from 2022 to 2023. That's partly due to our additional staffing, and that's one of the stats I anticipate going up even further in 2024. We have one of our particular rangers that hits about 30 or so parks every day. So that number I see increasing. And you can see there's, Jim can best explain the reason for some of these decreases in vandalism as far as the stats go, and dogs off leash. They're doing more patrol and more visible, and we believe that creates some deterrence of some of this activity.
The one that I'm going to be curious about is the decrease in homeless contact. Decrease in homeless contact.
Yeah, homeless. Well, what's going on? We just finished a homeless count for Ventura County and also LA County, and what we noticed is that a lot of the homeless community have kind of moved to an unincorporated part of town. So Ventura County sheriffs are working with that community. We still have our homeless community is still in our parks that we work with, and also in our city, but we've had that decrease because they moved out to the unincorporated area, I guess, to live in those areas. But other than that, there are not that many in our parks, and then the ones that are in our parks, we bring services to them. And again, we're reestablishing that role. Now we're done with COVID. Ventura County Behavioral Health starting to come out with their staff to help us out, like backpack medicine and all the different groups that help us out with the homeless community. But so that number has gone down because we have less homeless community members that we contact.
Where is the unincorporated area?
The unincorporated area would be on the other side of Moore Park, or actually we consider our new Moore Park area where Alamos Canyon is.
Close
On
to
that
the
section,
exit.
yeah. So there they call it DICE, and so it's unincorporated. It's outside of the city limit, outside of our area, our Arroyo, and it's in the county area. So the sheriff's department are working with that community. So we have but anybody who's homeless and it's on our community, we try to get them to services, and we reach out to all of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you define contact?
Contacts?
Well, like I know it says contact, like if you see a homeless person that you've encountered before, you say hi, is that a contact or is it?
It starts as a contact. Another person recognizes the person, we communicate with. So the contact is actually we connect with that person. So the contact starts there, and then we go into our TrackForce unit, log the information, and we record that stat. But a contact could also be an observation. So if there's a homeless person in the park, we observe them, of course. So when we have a contact, we actually document information. We're always documenting that information just to have that stat for us and to find out who they are, if they're okay, if they're going to services, if they're service resistant. So we consider that a contact. Right. So that's how our system is called homeless contact. It's also homeless observations through our process.
Any other questions?
I actually have a question about the taser protocol. It's
I'm sorry, if I could share, there's some more presentation
Oh.
ticket, so I think we should,
Yeah, we'll go through the presentation,
Yeah.
any questions, I'll gladly
Yeah, I'm
answer.
sorry.
There's a lot of stuff that we can't answer in the previous slides, so, again, update on the state of our park safety. And the unhoused population is always a priority here. We always are looking out for our unhoused population or our homeless population. Again, there's been talk, I spoke with Teresa and Dan regarding bringing out the services that we need through whether it's Samaritan Center. And when the numbers come out from the homeless count, we'll be able to know exactly where we're at. I do have my staff, they're always going out, recognizing who's out there. We try to help them with the services or whatever else they need. So that's one of our goals. Dogs off leash, in our stat, I think our stat's down on dog off leash. And like I've told all of you in the past, we talk about the 3 E's of enforcement, education, and engineering. When it comes to dogs off leash, we try to educate. I know the community always say, well, why are you asking me to leash my dog? My dog's very friendly, doesn't hurt anybody. But the thing is that a dog is a dog, and they're going to protect their owner. So if we approach them without a leash or anybody else, that the dog could be turned into a protective mode and try to defend that person. So we try to educate our community to leash their dogs, especially if they're on the trails and on our bike paths, to maintain control of their dog. So that's one of the things I have my rangers go out and educate our community first, and so that's a process we're always in. Vandalism, I always say vandalism it goes up and down in phases. When we have schools out, we have an influx of vandalism. Sometimes we have a tagger group that's tagging. They'll tag something, and then now the gang members want to tag, and we do that. But again, we have specific task forces that we're working on to work on the vandalism in our parks. And the graffiti, vandalism, it fluctuates. Sometimes people will think that there's nobody in the park, no security or police or rangers, so they'll try to vandalize something. So we try to do as much as we can by being on the ground, foot patrols, and not only vehicle patrols, but foot patrols to go in the areas that could be a potential area for vandalism. So that's something that we're working on daily. My staff's constantly working on the vandalism and the graffiti issues.
Chief, and if I could,
Yeah.
a big part of the vandalism, graffiti, or anti-graffiti effort is Wayne's staff. So we have the no tolerance, if we get out there right away. If we let that stuff accumulate, it would get more and more. But Wayne, every morning, gets any vandalism reports, and we send our maintenance staff out there to cover up any vandalism or deal with that almost immediately. So a lot of our success, if you will, or at keeping at least it under control and not prevalent in the parks, is the result of these guys working, but also Wayne's staff getting out there and taking care of it and covering it up quickly so it doesn't become blighted and lead to more graffiti in our parks and in our areas.
And Ranger Ara, he's working diligently on building bridges with the specialized units that CMPD has, and we're sharing graffiti information. We obtain the information, Wayne staff sends the graffiti to Dan, Teresa, and myself. We forward it to CMPD to see if we can recognize who's actually vandalizing, or if there's some vandalism of graffiti, mostly graffiti in the city, that they're recognizing who it is, if they're doing it. So we're now building that bridge with a police department in the city of Simi Valley to see if we can slow the graffiti down. And it's true, Wayne staff is really good at cleaning up graffiti. 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm out here, probably by 6:10, the graffiti's gone, if there's any. So their staff, the building maintenance staff and grounds, we do an outstanding job of cleaning that up for us. There's a cost to it, but at least they work at it. So we're all together as a team to try to resolve this problem. Again, so that's important. Alcohol, drug use, and smoking. We've seen a decrease in vaping, smoking, and alcohol. I think our numbers, Teresa, show alcohol. It used to be in the past they were drinking, but now that's attributed to having more rangers in the park, our full-time rangers. At night, we have more rangers working, patrolling our park district, which is we divide in 2 areas, and they work on all the alcohol, drug use, and the smoking. So we have a decrease in that right now. Again, we have myself, I'm a homeless liaison trained. We have Ranger Kanagi, who's homeless liaison trained, and we have our other rangers that are learning about homelessness and understanding what the problem is. And so we work with the homeless community. We like to have them trust us. We're out there to work with them, trying to get them services, and we have that rapport with the homeless community. We also have, I was assisted in relocation and safer areas. Now we try to get them to behavioral health if we can, in the housing if it's available, or to the city of Simi Valley. And the other connection for long-term services, which is social services, that's behavioral health. So we're trying to get social services out to help them out. Medical services, we'll hopefully have this year a backpack medicine, which they bring out their staff to behavioral health, and they go out to maybe in corporate areas or open space areas that we recognize that there's a homeless person there who needs those services. We'll bring them to them to help them out. And again, mental health services, they all come out. They're all under the same umbrella as Ventura County Behavioral Health.
What's the story with this picture?
As a person that was on the bike path, and he was displaced from his home. A lot of that property was in his storage, and he wasn't able to pay for storage, so he ended up on our bike path for a bit. And so now he's through relatives are trying to help him out. And I guess when you talk to people like that in that situation, sometimes the world closes on them, and those are his belonging or her belonging, whoever it is. That's their whole house. I mean, picture your house, and now you get displaced, and they go, "Here's all your stuff. Take it with you." How do you do it if you don't have a vehicle or some? So you manage to move it, put it somewhere for a minute till you regroup. And in this case, this subject is trying to figure out where they're going to do, what they're going to do, what their stuff. That stuff is all important to that person. So it's some of the communities helping out, and also the police department, us. We're all kind of circling the wagon to try to help this person out.
Chief, on the social service front, the county's really upped their efforts in that mental health and behavioral health area, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of things going on at the county level under the continuum of care, where the county's now reacting to homeless issues, and they really put in more resources, both at Ventura County, but also reaching out into communities to connect with these folks as well, right? So
Right.
that's increasing.
And that's why the homeless count is so important, that we do this and we can recognize where a homeless population is, and we can get services at the federal level all the way down to the county level or state county level, and then how they can disperse those funds to help out like a person like that. So that person's not alone. There's a lot of officers, social services that are involved with this person, and we've recognized this as a problem for this person. So we all, like say, circle the wagon and try to help this person out. Questions?
So in my experience, I think in this county, it's still manageable, it's particularly in Simi Valley. They always say that challenging the unhoused or addressing the unhoused population issue, it's a multifaceted effort because it involves law enforcement, but it also involves social services, behavioral health, food pantries and that kind of thing. But my experience is that the county, through the continuum of care, it's all a team of us, the city, the county, nonprofits, our rangers, all trying to seamlessly work together that offer a different component of that service. It seems to me that our county is taking this seriously, and they're putting more resources into it locally, and trying to develop those partnerships to address the issue and reduce the unhoused population in the county. So.
I understand the Samaritan Center executive director is very active and they've been starting new programs and it's really putting a lot of energy into it. Is that right?
Yeah, the Samaritan Center, they're a hub, and there's also other groups in the community, different organizations like Elks Lodge and all these Knights of Columbus, all that. They all, the Samaritan Center is a hub, and they reach out to all these different organizations, but they are the main organization to help and guide somebody into a program or assistance,
Right.
whether it be through the different county facilities or our other communities that we have. Yeah. Questions on that? The next slide, again, rangers, our job is patrol our parks here in Oak Park and the open space. The open space is something that we're supposed to be stewards of the land. We get more land as we move on, and so part of it is to partner up with the Boy Scouts. I was a Boy Scout and dear to my heart, so we go out and we do nature hikes. We take groups, scout groups, and we go in that specific area was Montgomery Canyon. We talk about the land use, what plants are out there, what species of butterflies and all that type of stuff. So they, aside from just the scouts getting their merit badge, they also go out on these major hikes. Danielle in this picture is, I think, the troop leader. So we got to go on a nice little, the 3-mile hike, something like that. Yeah, 3-mile hike. So we hiked and it's a nature hike and we discussed it. It's a fun thing because they get to go out with their park rangers. I always say the uniform's similar, and so it's positive thing to do with the scouting. And other groups that might want to do that are after school programs. They want to engage in a hike. We'll go out on a hike with the ranger. They used to call it hike with the ranger. And so now the other thing we do is our PR, which is National Night Out, or other organizations. They invite us out to these different community meetings or like for instance we have Ranger Herndon there. They were at the National Night Out, participate, and we educate the community as to what we are, the park rangers, and what the RSRPD, the park district, what they have, what we have as a park district in general. The district has our park rangers to go out there and let the community know that we're out patrolling our parks and our open space.
And I just wanted to note, prior to hiring the third ranger and being, I would consider fully staffed now, we did have some gaps in coverage a little bit in terms of ranger presence. Those gaps, primarily it was during the day between 2:30 and 3:30. Those gaps have now been filled. What time do you guys start, Jim?
2:30.
What time do you start in the morning?
I start at 6.
So we have 6 to midnight. We have at least one ranger on shift, correct?
Well, from 6 to 2:31, and then from 2:30 to midnight, 2 rangers.
Correct.
Yes.
So we have full coverage in the parks now with our efforts to solidify our staffing levels. And thank you to the board for providing the resources needed to achieve that goal. So.
Can we go back a couple of slides to where the range, right there, yeah, thank you. So again, our firearms training, we have 3 now full-time range masters. Ada and Edmund are all range masters, so now this is myself giving out training. I have new ideas, new training for our park rangers to learn. Again, the nighttime qualification is important because I decided to put on the night qualification. It was cold, but we went up to the mountains, and it was interesting because we haven't done that in a while. And he came up with some excellent ideas, and we have video of that, which works really good. Again, going to the taser training. I'm the taser instructor. Also, Ada and Edmund are also taser instructors. So again, we have 3 rangers that teach taser, and to make sure everybody's on board, we qualify, and receive the training once a year. So it's important in our qualification.
I also want to note we've been talking. We have a great group of 6 part-time rangers: Dave Curran and Courtney and Roberta. So we've got a great group of. They don't want to necessarily work full-time. Some of them are retired. Some of them have other positions. But these guys are assisted with that excellent cadre of part-time rangers to support that, special events and other special task force work we might need to do. So they're excellent as well in the program.
Are there any questions of the board?
I just have a quick one about the protocol with using tasers. It's like verbal warning, taser, shoot.
Yes, that's something that it's a tool that we have. So we go from verbalization, to pain compliance. So let's say you have a person that's extremely unruly, violent. You verbalize them and stop. Obey my commands. Stop whatever the command is to get that person. And on a taser, it's kind of an interesting. Not necessarily just point the taser and shoot at somebody. There is a mode in there that you hit the button and it goes through an arcing system and it arcs through. And what it does is normally when you taser, I recommend you do that first before you deploy the actual taser darts. And usually if you were to do that, a lot of times you gain compliance because what they associate those arcs with is with electricity.
Oh, then
Yeah.
it's like an electric fence or something.
Yeah, it just goes through a cycle, and when they see that cycle, you know, nobody wants to be shocked by electricity, if that's what they think, so they normally comply. But most of the rangers, if we have zero, knock on wood, use of forces, because our rangers have a lot of, their skill set's very high, and nobody wants to get into an altercation or go to that level. So they use a lot of verbal communication, and I like to talk about verbal judo, where we gain compliance through verbalization skills, project our voice and commands. Sometimes our commands seem kind of loud and rough, but it's always, you go up to this level, if they're here, you go verbally to this level, and then you work your way back to this level or lower. And the goal is to bring that person to de-escalate them to a more calmer state. So yeah, it's one of the tools that we have, but we try not to go there. It's always good to have that there, but again, verbalization, our tactics, how the person, a ranger stands, where they stand, verbalize, communicate. And the good thing is that we try to get backup. So the more rangers involved, even the police department to back us up, we can de-escalate a situation to avoid the use of force situation.
Any questions, Director Evelyn or Denner?
I got a list. I was letting other people go first in case you asked the same one. First, just a comment to our staff as we're working on how to implement the California Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. Park rangers visiting after-school clubs could supplement or help with that, mentioning the local flora and fauna. The question I have though is, I've been seeing a lot of people on motorcycles, specifically Sorons, and they're not e-bikes, they're motorcycles, they're electric motorcycles. And from a board perspective, we do education, like social media posts about it. Has there been any enforcement? I know it's really hard to catch somebody on a motorcycle. Have we caught any of them?
Yes, we have. And the age group is about 13 years old, right? 13 years old on a pretty much a motorcycle. We've caught them. We've talked to parents. The parents sometimes are under the impression it's a $6,000 motorcycle, and they're allowed to ride it. So they don't consider it a vehicle. Because we know that the e-bike, e-motorcycle has no pedals, so it's considered a vehicle. So we try to educate, and it's kind of rough to write a 13-year-old a ticket or citation and put them through the juvenile system for tickets. So we try to educate. But again, you're right. We just recently had a special problems that we worked on last weekend, where some of the rangers were not wearing uniform. We're pretty much undercover, and we managed a problem out here below our area to talk to them. But yes, you're right. We also simultaneously that night we had a call at Frontier Park, and we're over here at Guardian dealing with the problem. We're on bicycles, and one of my rangers was on an e-scooter, and the time it took us to get from point A to point B, we saw them leaving Frontier Park. But every time we do work the problem, my rangers will address the issue. They're not going to give chase, because we're not going to chase a 13-year-old on an e-bike through the streets of Kissimmee Valley. It's unsafe. But if we're able to stop them in the open space area where they're at, we talk to them. And that's one thing that, aside from the rangers educating the community has to educate their own children who are obtaining these motorcycles on safety. That's something at the state level, driver's license and all that. But with us, we try to educate every time we stop somebody regarding that. We educate them and we always call the parents because they're minors and educate them on that they've just bought a vehicle for their child to ride around the streets. And they're not just coming to our open space, they're traversing through the city to get to our open space. So yeah, education is one of the things that we're working on.
Again, that 13-year-old, as an example, I totally understand you want to give a 13-year-old ticket in education, why that'd be good. Do we keep track of their names and tell them if we catch you a second time you might get a ticket?
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's through our track force, and ID the person and talk to the parents, because they are minors, so we do document that. through our track force system that we have, it's always in our system. But now it's becoming a bigger problem for us with the e-motorcycle problem. And so we will need additional tools to work with that problem because they are going up into our open spaces. You know, there's just areas that we can't drive in, even my little Jeep that I have, there's air because it's a motorcycle. So our goal is this year to try to, you know, try to figure out where they're actually going and what areas they gravitate to more. And then we're putting in some enforcement area, ranger time in those areas to curtail that problem. So that's about where we're at right now. It's another problem in process that we have to put manpower, ranger power into it to get this resolved.
I appreciate that because without education and without enforcement, our young people are being led to believe that you could get a vehicle that could go 40 miles an hour. I saw somebody right here popping a wheelie and weaving through traffic. And I'm guessing he was in middle school, maybe high school. Not like on the bike lane or on the side, but like between cars on Tapo.
Yeah.
But he's under the impression it's legal because you can do it, drive right past people and they're not going to stop. So the friends are going, now you should go get one. They're totally legal.
Yeah, it's under the e-bike. It kind of falls under the e-bike, so it's like an e-bike. You talk to the parents and they're like, what's an e-bike? Well, it's not an e-bike. This is an e-motorcycle. It's an electric powered motorcycle that some of them are now like 60 miles per hour, close to 60 miles per hour out of the box. And that's not if they modify. And now we're going even faster. So it's educating the parents. I know I've talked to Richard Limo about, he had discussed about maybe doing some kind of educational thing for the community on e-bikes. So that's something that we'll put together in the future with Dan and Teresa.
Well, I know your 3 E's and one of them is engineering.
Right.
Is there any engineering that we could do to help you with this?
Well, yeah, there's some sign placements. I know it's hard to put more and more signs in the parks. We have sign placements equipment, you know, to deal with that problem. I know budget restrains us from getting certain things, but in the near future, if we can obtain certain equipment that we can at least match that to curtail some of that activity would be important. And again, through our means like Richard Limo, Dan, and educating our community at large, you know, so that would be important.
I have mixed feelings on some of the entrances to trails. Like you want to make sure people can't bring vehicles in. But at the same time, if you're on a bike, you got lifted over there. Is there any places where we got to do something to the entrances?
Yeah, there's a lot of places. Like Montgomery Canyon, we have Tapo, Las Yajas Trail, Tapo Canyon Trail. Those are trails that we're having problems. Any other?
All of our trails. All of our trails, you can just ride a motorcycle in.
But as far as
Any kind of
entrances are concerned, some of the entrances are large and some of them are not. But even an e-motorcycle, you can literally pick it up and put it over a boulder. Just most recently, we recognized a trail up by Big Sky Trail. We had a complaint there, motorcycles riding off-road there. And we found a location where we were not only seeing where they were coming in, we're trying to survey if we can get a vehicle in there. And there's boulders there, but they're 3, 4, 5 feet apart. You had to stop a vehicle from going in, but a motorcycle is like the size of a bicycle, so they'll go right through there. So.
I mean, it's too bad they don't understand if they had an accident with a horse or an individual, just what their liability would be. I mean, it could be quite serious.
Yeah. And we have to understand that our trails are multi-use, and so we have hikers, mountain bikers, equestrian, and then all that. So
Yeah.
even ourselves as rangers, when we patrol,
I mean, they spook a horse,
oh yeah.
throw riders.
Mhm.
I mean, that can be some serious injury.
Then when we're on trail with our off-road vehicle, we pull over to the right, turn our vehicle off, and just stay quiet as a horse goes by.
Yeah.
But some of the e-bike guys, they don't get it. And I have reports that they get upset why there's hikers on the trail. It's a multi-use trail. But you don't ride a vehicle on the trail unless you're authorized to ride in that trail or drive on that trail, like the park rangers or the police.
And I sort of think they're into what they're doing.
Yeah,
That's all they're thinking about is what they're doing.
yeah, riding that motorcycle, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that we're fully staffed and that's progress. You mentioned vandalism contacts at 54. Did any of those result in either arrest or tickets or finding them?
No, it's mostly, our contacts is the information that we're obtaining. Vandalism, and graffiti is very transient in the sense that if you watch YouTube, you see how quickly somebody will do graffiti. Unless they're doing a big, what they call art, it takes a while. But when it comes to just tagging, we call tagging, or just writing something, it's seconds. And you could go and check a restroom and move on, and then no sooner you're gone, somebody walks in and vandalizes. We call it vandalism, it's graffiti, vandalism too. But that's how quick it is. In the past, I have written tickets to vandals who are doing graffiti, but it's one of those things where I happen to be right there at that moment. And even if we prepared a task force to go out and do it, we have to be extremely lucky. And I've put a couple hours into a night and had positive results, but we're talking weeks and weeks and hours to recognize where they're doing the graffiti. So it takes a lot of time. But if we do find them, then they're going to get cited, and Teresa will handle that part of the cost that we try to recuperate our what Wayne staff is doing, how much it costs us.
I appreciate that, because I don't think taxpayers want their money to have to go do that, but obviously they want to clean and save parks.
Yes, sir.
There's a Narcan, the medicine for people that have overdosed. Were you still carrying that?
Yes, we are. We're still carrying Narcan. In fact, I was talking to, I forget her name, who does the first aid. Aaron, we're going to work on recertification. Also, Ranger Edmonds also a first aid CPR AED. What is the other training you have on medical?
Trauma life support.
Trauma life support. So we'll be working on that this year. But our Narcan is something that we carry all the time.
I apologize, I missed that. What was the other training?
Trauma life support, sir. Like let's say, God forbid, gunshot wound, stabbing, how to stop the bleeding.
And since we started carrying Narcan, have you had a use for it?
Not yet, but it's a good tool to have. And all the Rangers carry them when they're out in the field, whether it be on their vest, or they'll carry it in their what they call it, their bug out bag or their bag. So if there's somebody that needs our Narcan, it's just a couple steps away, get into the car. We want to keep it in a cool area. Teresa purchased little cases for us that said that Narcan's in there. So if we have to get them new Narcans, we'll end up purchasing something that we need. It could affect anybody. You know, whether it be a ranger or the general public or the person who is using a specific drug that somebody introduces the fentanyl. Mostly, that's the biggest problem we have with the fentanyl. So we are carrying it. Yeah.
And this is a philosophical question, but currently, which of, if either of these philosophies we follow more, directing your resources evenly spaced out across the community versus directing our resources to the problem areas? So obviously we do both, but which one do we lean towards?
You know, when it comes to patrol, we're leaning to both. So the Rangers in our district, our district is divided in two, Sycamore being the dividing line, the east side, west side. So the Rangers are not just doing the regular patrols, they're also addressing the problem areas as they're patrolling our parks to our community. So they're working two problems at one time. So, but then once in a blue moon, or like this last Friday, we work a specific problem. And so if I have 4 Rangers to divide, I'll take 2 or 3 to work the problem and 1 continuously patrolling. So we're not just taking that 1 patrol ranger offline, just focusing them on the problem. I have to divide our staff to also patrol our other parks. Yeah.
There's only a couple more, I promise. It's part of our regular budget cycle I'd like to bring up that I think would be of good use to the park rangers in our community to have e-bikes. The reason I mention it is there's a lot of places that are hard to patrol with a car, and there's a lot of people you encounter like on Arroyo that it's not possible, just harder, or it takes a lot of resources to pedal in there. And I do understand that they're not a perfect solution. As an example, as you mentioned, Frontier Park, you get a call for service and you're down here. But I would say that it would be useful to have regular bike patrols, not every day, but just for those hard to encounter people otherwise, that they kind of get the message that Arroyo is the place where you could go to get in trouble. That's actually on our Google reviews. Someone posted that. But I would like to bring that up as a part of our just annual process for analyzing the budget and all the priorities that we have.
Yeah, we just, on last week, Edmund introduced his e-scooter, which was pretty nice, pretty fast. We responded from here, myself on the bike. Luckily, the direction we're going is downhill, and as you know, you've ridden many times with us, and then going downhill is coming back uphill. So Cedar Valley goes downhill and back up. But we were able to utilize that resource as quickly as we were able to go. We just missed him. We saw him leaving the park, but that's good. That means my rangers are in shape. They're working out. But yeah, those resources that we would need to assist us in working with these problems, having the e-bikes or whatever tool we need to get there. And again, like I said, when we do our task forces and when we're riding the bike path with our bike patrol, there's always a patrol unit hovering around in case we need them. And our Jeeps have a bike rack on the back, so that bike not only becomes a bike you're riding, but you can use it, take it somewhere else, and then deploy it in a different area. But in this case, last week, there was a scooter, a bicycle, and then a patrol vehicle. So yeah, it's something that the bike path is something that it's a highway for good and bad, and and some of that highway is connected to a lot of our parks. So we have to address both as we patrol. And the bike patrols are starting. We just did it last week, and everybody's trained up on bike patrol, on the bike instructor. So now all our guys are all gals are all trained to go on the bike patrol. And those we'll step those up even if it's downhill and back uphill. So we'll step those up. Yeah.
Then pretty close to the end. I know that we only have a limited budget for all the different needs, and we should prioritize that. But I think in the future that we should consider if we provide body-worn cameras. My feeling on it is I've gone back and forth in the pro and con on it. But it would protect our rangers and our park district. If somebody said, you guys did this, you're like, just roll the tape. That didn't happen, and we get to see that. But I do understand that's more complicated than just saying do it. We have to research it, the funds, the data.
We've have crossed that bridge, Dan, Teresa, and I. We're looking at budgets. What's the best tool? We've recognized one camera system that we could use. Again, we're always within the budget restraint. What are our priorities? That's a priority too, but we have to be reasonable and understand what we need. And like I said, the body camera is important. It keeps the officer honest. That's how I say it. You know, you're aware that you have that camera on. What you say and what you do is going to be recorded forever. So that's something that I know Dan, Teresa, and myself are exploring to get the best for our buck. But you're right, 100%. That's something, a tool that we need. And those are all tools that we get little by little. As the budget allows, we get this tool, we get the next tool, we move on. And every time we get that tool, it's an accomplishment for all of you and the Ranger program. You know, so that's something that, again, that's at the board level, you know, Dan, Teresa level to help the Ranger program obtain those tools.
I appreciate the way you framed that as adding tools to your resources. Right. The reason I mentioned that is I wouldn't want to say that I see a specific need for it in the present, but more just as a protective measure. Right. And that brings me to the last part, which is it's easy to become cynical, especially in law enforcement with all the different things you encounter each day, to lose hope, to see the worst in people, to not see the opportunity for someone to improve because you keep encountering the same person that's not improving. But that doesn't mean it's not going to improve. That an individual's life choices, you know. Right. So you see someone that's been chronically homeless for years, and you keep encountering them with drugs. It must be hard to realize that they could break out of that cycle. But every time I hear you speak, you're speaking with compassion and optimism, and I appreciate that about your whole team and yourself.
I mean, I've been fortunate to work with several throughout my tenure here with homeless that have, you know, you would think, oh my God, this person's at the bottom end of everything. And now, and it's a handful that I've dealt with behavioral health, being tenacious on bringing them services, and they're doing well now. Some of them are not even living in our city. They moved out with other family members, you know, to give them the support. But it's you feel great as an officer or as a ranger to see a person that you just over and over again work, and you finally, you know, I got a call not too long ago about a person say, hey, I'm doing great, I'm in Arizona. And that person was always in our open space. And dealing day in, day out, week after week, the whole year, and now all of a sudden you go, wow, you know, I'm clean, sober, and I'm doing great, thank you. And that goes dear to my heart as a homeless liaison and all that. And I impart that with my rangers, and they're all the same way. The rangers that are here are the same as I am when it comes to homelessness. And I always say nobody's exempt from that, from being homeless. Nobody. You can have a family member that has like crisis, and then next thing you know, they end up homeless. Nobody's exempt from some type of substance abuse. So, you know, the best we can do is, if that were to happen, even as that person's not a member of my family, but it's somebody that as a peace officer, we're kind of asked and our heart's there to help people out. That's why we do the job that we do. And whether it be at a police agency or at the park rangers. So that's, like I said, homelessness is very dear to me. And I pass that on to all my rangers, that they're human beings and we got to treat them with a lot of respect.
Well, I've seen that in your comments at board meetings, but also patrolling or going out with your rangers to ride along. That's a value of your organization.
Thank you.
That's it.
Director Brown?
Yeah, good.
Okay. I just have one. I wondered if the reduced number of contacts is directly related to the increase in presence of you guys in the parks. In other words, the word is out, the rangers are there, it's covered. Do you think that's why there's been less contact?
Yes, we have more observations and we have less citations. That shows that our rangers are being very proactive and being vigilant. They're being seen. I get people come and say, how many rangers do you have out there? Well, I have several.
They know you're there.
Yeah, because they're seeing a ranger vehicle all over the place, and that's why we divided our patrol districts, or we have focused patrols. So you'll see that ranger vehicle hitting as many parks as they can. So, with the increase of the 2 full-time rangers, and thank you, all of you, for helping us with that. We're making a difference in our.
Well, it makes a difference in people's comfort level
Yes.
using the facilities, no matter where it is. So thank you.
Yeah, and again, we'll give credit to Alex, who makes us our junior park ranger stickers. So our rangers get out and they hand a child a park ranger sticker, and they communicate with the rangers, and they see that they're human beings too. And
Right.
yeah, so it's a big partnership here at the park district. That as far as the park rangers are concerned, we partner with everybody, from building maintenance to part-timers to recreation, to you name it. I look at it as a ranger, we're like a hub, and we grab as much partnership as we can to make our job in the park district and the district and the community we serve a lot more safe.
Thank you.
I did actually have one more comment. The tagging and graffiti removal, is that related anyway to the graffiti hotline that the city has?
Two separate things. The graffiti hotline, they handle graffiti in the bike path, or they'll handle graffiti throughout the city. They're amazing. We leave them
They are.
oh yeah, we leave a message and they show up with their
Yeah.
rollers. Our staff, Wayne's staff, from the supervisors all the way down to the part-time grounds and building maintenance, they do an amazing job. They see graffiti and they want it gone. And they take a lot of pride in the parts that they work and they keep clean. And so I get the information and it's passed on. But yeah, so we, aside from the graffiti hotline, the graffiti program that the CME had, our staff is doing an amazing job in resolving that.
Yes, it's because you call up that hotline and boom, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone quick. And we have our nonstop, our staff, as soon as they see it, it's gone. So the taggers, they're like, what happened to my graffiti? It's gone. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tell all your guys, thank you. Tell the whole group, thank you very much. for
I
the
will.
work.
Thank you all of you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll go on to continue business, which there is none. New business. Item 9A, review and direction regarding the January 11 Oak Park and Recreation Planning Committee meeting.
Thank you, Chair. I'll provide the report. There's no particular direction or follow-up needed by the board. Specifically this evening, A few items of note. There was a resident in the Oak Park area was concerned about some trees behind their home. The committee had asked us to run any tree removals by them, which we did in support with an arborist report. The committee voted 5-0 to concur with staff's recommendation on the particular arborist report, which included removing 3 of the, I think, 8 trees that we looked at, which staff was proceeding with. The committee did have some questions and discussed the timeline and the process for the converting the tennis courts to pickleball at Deer Hill. I will comment on that a little bit more in a moment. And they also, we gave them an update on the different grant opportunities and the efforts we're making on Medea Creek relative to fire resiliency and non-native tree removal, which is all grant funded. We also talked to them about the committee structure and appointment of members. I think we talked a bit about that when we were talking about our committees. We had a good discussion. We talked about the short-term and long-term effectiveness of the Oak Park Committee. Also, we talked about the fairness and equity over the long term, given that we now have district elections. All of the committee members that were there, 5 of them, understood some of the inefficiencies with the committee, but also the issue of equity and fairness, given that we have district elections, and they expressed a support for whatever the board would like to do in your wisdom. So they understood if the committee needed to be eliminated, they understood that if the board had to make that decision, they understood the reasons why, and they also understood why we were looking at the issues. So to that end, we expect to bring back your committee list specifically with a decision on the Oak Park Committee and where you want to head with that at your next meeting on February 21st. They also had a discussion similar to the discussion we just had here regarding electronic mountain bikes. There was no particular direction. We talked about usage, how we enforce signage, education, so no direction out of that. So that being said, as it relates to pickleball and the timeline and process, in that it was brought up at the Oak Park Committee because one of the Oak Park Committee members asked for this. I believe Wayne received word from the county planning department that they've been requested to have us present the project, the conversion project, to the MAC when it's ready, either at the end of this month in March. So apparently we do have to get a permit from the county to do the conversion. And as a part of that process, I understand the supervisor's office in the county has asked us that we run the project by the proposed project by the Municipal Area Advisory Committee. So if the planning department is requesting that of us, we will likely need to do that and present the project to the Municipal Advisory Committee. So I anticipate we're going to get a lot of the same arguments that you guys have heard over a series of 3 or 4 meetings. There's going to be a lot of the same discussion, I would imagine.
Have we confirmed, I mean, has Supervisor Grell's
I have not confirmed that yet. This is from the county planning department, a planner to Wayne to me. I don't know that it's been officially communicated to us as of yet. So, is that accurate, Wayne?
Dale Thomas requested.
Oh, Dale Thomas is with Supervisor Grell's office, and they are apparently requesting the planning department to require us to run the project by the Municipal Advisory Committee.
So would it be a modification of the land development permit for the park?
What type of permit do you need, Wayne?
Administrative adjustment.
Administrative adjustment. So normally we wouldn't need to do that because it's already an allowed use, it'd be an administrative adjustment,
Right.
so. But they're having us run it by the,
That's a very interesting approach.
Yes.
yes.
Yes. It's a
I mean,
very
they
interesting
could ask
approach.
for impact studies.
I would imagine they're going to take the input from the MAC and then they will build that into whatever they require of us during the administrative adjustment process.
Okay. And when is that MAC meeting, do you know?
It kind of depends when Wayne submits all the material. So they were hoping for this month, February, at the end of the month, I think their meeting is. But I had told Wayne that if he doesn't have the application package ready to fully submit, I'll let Wayne address that. So either
So
this
we
month
have
or
to-
next.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just heard today that the county requested us to present to the MAC on February 29th, regardless if we have application package into them because the request from their office came from Supervisor Gorell's office, and they want it on the MAC agenda.
That would indicate to me that Supervisor Gurl's office has gotten a lot of calls. So he's responding to his constituency. So my question was, which you just answered, we don't have to have the application in before the MAC. We can go to the MAC and from that.
We will submit an application.
Okay.
I would prefer the application be done because that seems orderly to me, so, but.
The only other thing I would ask is, it seems like the fact that they want it on sooner rather than later is, they're also at least trying to do it in a timely fashion, so the project
That's fair.
goes forward, it doesn't delay the project. I'm just, is that a possibility, or?
Yes.
That's a possibility? Yeah. Yes.
The MAC might have a presentation and input, and they might vote, but I mean, what does that do? Like they could vote on a project, but they're not the approving body of that.
So if they vote to say do a noise study or a traffic study, and then the county planning staff, if they get that direction, may require that of us if that's a vote.
Like a
on that.
parking study?
Parking study.
Yeah, they can request it. They can't mandate it because of administrative adjustment, be up to the county planner, but I don't know if they'll do anything, to protect us from doing it. They could just require us to do it.
One of the reasons I ask about that is, I don't know if the Oak Park MAC is aware that if they make studies that are expensive in nature, that comes out of Oak Park. Like the same part of the park district's not paying for studies in Oak Park would be paying for it out of their budget. If there's a necessary study, whether it's the regular approval process or an extra need, obviously that's just a part of the process, but it shouldn't just be, let's throw up studies to add cost to it to slow down the process.
At this point in time, I'm in agreement with the county. We're not going to ask the MAC for approval of the project. We are just presenting the project for questions.
I'm just imagining if the MAC is meeting and someone says they should do a study, someone's going to say, sure, do a study. How about we do 5 studies? Why not 6? Why not make the park district pay for 7 studies? Like, is anybody at the MAC going to say the 8th study is too many studies? So obviously we should be good neighbors and work with input on parking. We mentioned before if the curb needs to be red, stuff like that. But not all those things need to be studies is the thing that I bring up.
Yeah, I don't think any studies will be requested of us except for one maybe, and that'd be a noise study.
Do you have it? We hire somebody for that?
We can.
How thorough, is it just the application with the project description? Is that what the application includes?
Yeah, the
I mean,
county
we
wants-
wouldn't need anything in addition to that.
No, we're going to submit it just with the plans and the job description.
Yeah,
That's all the county wants us to do. They want to keep this very simple for us.
right.
They believe that it's an unnecessary administrative adjustment because we're not changing the utilization of the park itself. We're just changing a function of the park. But they got a request from Supervisor Gurl's office and they can't deny it.
On the noise study part of it, are they aware, or will we make them aware that the board's already voted to, that we intend to implement some sort of noise dampening measure?
Yes. I'm going to do a presentation, or Jonathan will do a presentation. I'll have 4 slides in it only for the whole project. And one of them will show that we're putting noise dampening panels on the side of it that will reduce to 32 decibels.
They're just responding to community input.
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other comments on or questions on the Oak Park report? For this time, there's no action required, it's just information.
I have comments after you do questions.
Okay.
Actually, I have one more question. For the 21st, on the decision on how we're going to proceed with the committee, or if there's going to be a committee, this isn't something I may have suggested before, but in light of the progression of the meetings, including the last Oak Park Committee meeting, will you, as part of that, Dan, can you and your staff address not just whether the committee is going to continue, but whether it's something that we still want to have continue till the end of the year, or possibly something that we want to terminate immediately?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there anyone in the public who would like to address this issue? I see no one on Zoom. So we'll move on to our comment.
Brian, you can give me advice on this. I do see that the subject says review and direction regarding the Oak Park and Recreation Planning Committee. And at the Planning Committee, we definitely discussed the existence of a committee or the structure of it. So although we might make a final action and have options presented to us at the next meeting, I'm free to discuss my opinion on the structure of the committee as we discussed our existence.
Well, the review and the direction is the review and the direction of what you discuss at the Oak Park meeting, correct? So are you is that what you're discussing?
Correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know we don't have all the options presented to us by staff with details for that, but I'm going to point out that there was a news article that covered the committee. It was on the Acorn, said if the committee should exist or not. Harry Medved weighed in. He's a longtime member of the committee and said he was fine with whatever that we did with it, basically, that he understood how the committee was not working efficiently. And then I'll point out that the structure of the committee is partially the cause for confusion of the process, because there's a committee, they try to form a subcommittee, and then the community got confused, and some of the members of the community now think you go to the back. They're not sure where you go. And I'm going to say that the reason for that is the committee itself didn't handle the issue. They asked us to, and then they weighed in on it again and confused people more. So at the next meeting, when we discuss it in future detail, I don't see a need for the committee, especially now that we've gone to district-based elections. And being that there's only a few meetings left, I think 2, is there 2? 2 scheduled, and we don't have a full committee, as 2 members are no longer on it, since we didn't reappoint or appoint, that at that meeting, I would be leaning towards, unless there's significant community input with new ideas I haven't heard before, of eliminating it and doing that at the next meeting that we have.
Other comments, Director Ellis?
Sure. I'm not going to weigh in with my opinion because I don't make the final decision until I've heard anything. But also, I don't want anybody to think we pre-decide the issue. And so, what I do want to point out is that there seemed to be no opposition among the 5 committee members that were present at the last Oak Park Committee meeting to dissolving the committee. And secondly, not in terms of the timing of it, but in terms of whether or not the committee continued to exist, that I've also had contact from Harry Medved, who was not at that meeting, but has expressed to me that he also sees that understands the reasons for why the committee would be dissolved. And then, to me, I think the only other, the things that we need to consider, and I've said it in terms of the questions, but when we look at the issue on the 21st, is what is best for our district as a whole, what is best for the community of Oak Park, and finally, what is best for our staff. All those issues are intertwined, and I have a feeling at the end of the day, the answer is going to be the same on all those questions.
I appreciate what you said about, obviously, we might not make a final decision without community input. I was just saying that I received that community input, and unless there's new information I don't currently have, but we've discussed it at multiple meetings before. There's been lots of opportunities for input, and I haven't heard a persuasive argument.
Director O'Brien?
No, I have no comments on this item at this time. I'll stay with the 21st.
And the MAC is, what is the date on MAC?
February 29th.
February 29th. Would it be advisable for any board members to be present, like the committee members? Think about it, I mean, you don't need to.
Yeah, let me get some thought.
But I can see the process that's taking place. Those that are, like the decision of the board, were looking at their options and they realized what their options were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on the staff report? We'll move on then to item B, 9B. Receive and file government accounting standards board gas. 75, the actuarial evaluation for the district's retiree health insurance program as of
Thank you, Chair and Board. Ms. Pennington will lead the report, but we've also got Carlos Diaz, who is an actuary, who is also going to provide you some information on the report that's before you. Again, this is just a receive and file item, so go ahead.
And welcome, Carlos. Thank you for joining us this evening. Chair Freeman.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'll do an introduction and I'm sure the board will have questions for you. The Government Accounting Standards Board, statement number 75, requires state and local governments to report their costs and obligations as it relates to post-employment benefits. Rancho Cini provides a health benefit for eligible retirees in the amount of $438.42 per month. This amount can be used towards a CalPERS health insurance premium. The report indicates the current other post-employment benefit liability is $8.2 million. This is up from the last actuarial report from 3 years ago, which was $6.9 million. The increase is due to factors related to passage of time, changes in assumptions such as healthcare trend rates, assumed terminations, and mortality. The district currently utilizes the pay-as-you-go approach. That amount in fiscal year 23-24 is $321,956. And as Dan mentioned, there's no board action required on this. And Mr. Diaz from Dempsey Philliger and Associates is here to answer any technical questions you may have.
And Teresa, if I could, just to conceptualize this for the board, we have a retiree health program that's tied to CalPERS, which is what our retirement and our health is also provided through CalPERS. A number of years ago, the board provided I would call a more expensive benefit or a better benefit to the employees. I think it was in 2008 or 9, the board put some caps on our retiree health. So there's a certain group of employees that are grandfathered into what is a better benefit. The board back at that time had reduced the plan. So basically the actuarial, there's a lot of discount and a lot of information in here, but it's basically the number of retirees that we have now and the number of active employees that could potentially retire from us, and our benefit through CalPERS is up to $438 a month. So if you do the math, if there's retirees at any given time, between, say, most people retire between 50 and 60 potentially, we are paying all of those folks up to $438 a month until they pass. Generally, folks, before they hit the Medicare age, we pay the full $438. When they hit the Medicare age, the premium is less, and our $438 is actually less that we offer because it's supplemented by Medicare. So it's a pretty intense analysis. Carlos would agree, discounting future cost of money, benefits, but we currently are capped at what we provide to employees. The board could revisit that. We could increase that. The board has, over the years, taken the position, you rolled it back, the richer plan, and that's what's nice about our plan is it's fixed. Some retiree health plans is like it's a percentage of the premium, or it increases over time, or it's based on years of service. We have a natural cap in there. The most we provide is $438 a month. So this actuarial identifies the cost of that, the total liability for all of those employees that are either retired or may retire that are working here now.
Are there questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
And this is for the actuary because it involves, now we have our unfunded liability is 8.2 million, or 8.27 million. Which makes sense. That's the total amount of money we think we're gonna have to spend on retirees. When I go to page 3 of the report, I see the present value of 11.8 million. How does that relate to the unfunded liability?
Great question, yes. The projected benefits for the current census is the $11 million. For purposes of recording a liability on your books, what happens is that for active employees, you use a prorated portion of that total liability. So a portion of that $11 million is, under the accounting standards, is you don't have to recognize the full amount. You can recognize it based on the prorated portion based on service, for example. In my example, example that I would like to use is if you have an active employee that has 10 years of service and is projected to work 20 years, then the liability, $8 million, would be based on 10/20ths of the 11 million that you're showing. So that it's because of the accounting, the way they don't require you to recognize the full value of liability, because you're going to systematically recognize it over a person's career. I hope that made sense.
Sort of. Okay. Yeah, I have to ponder it a bit, but it's one of those weird accounting things.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So if you look at the active employees, you would project out their full value. However, in terms of what is the liability to date, under the accounting standards, you're allowed to prorate it based on service as opposed to taking a full hit right away.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Just a follow-up, when you say you're allowed to, I mean, actually what's happened, when you say you're allowed to, it's actually probably a more accurate measure as well, correct? Based on the way it's calculated.
Correct. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're not requiring you to, they recognize that you want to systematically recognize a person's benefit during their career. So you're right. It makes more sense that you would prorate based on service or throughout an active person's career, as opposed to taking the full hit right away.
However, Carlos, it's also true that our benefit is not based on years of service. It's a fixed dollar amount if you're vested in PERS. So if actuarially you are required to do years of service, but our benefit is capped. So I know in the GASB standards you have to project that out, but at the same time, our benefit isn't based on 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years of service.
That is correct, yes. So this is just an accounting strategy so that you don't recognize the full value now, that you can systematically recognize it over an active person's career.
Can you clarify for me? Does it remain the same when they go on to Medicare? I wasn't clear on that.
What happens is the premium when you get on Medicare, the government Medicare covers some of the premium.
Right.
So let's say you have a $600 premium as a single person for your Medicare plan. Medicare covers, say, $400 of it. So instead of us paying $438 a month, we pay the difference between what Medicare pays and what the premium
You mean
is.
on a supplemental?
Correct.
Okay.
On the supplement, yeah.
Thank you. Are there other questions? I see no one from the public, either in person or on Zoom. Do you see anyone on Zoom?
I do not.
No. And I'll close the public discussion. And the action that's required, is there a motion or is there further comment?
Just to receive information, receive files.
Do I hear a motion?
There is no motion.
Yeah, there is, just receive and file, informational,
Oh, excuse me, I'm
disclosure,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you everyone, have a good night.
Our next item, 9E, result of the Park District public bid opening for new truck and vehicle purchases, and authorization to waive district purchasing policy, and authorize staff to procure new truck and vehicle purchases proposals on the open market and on comparative price quotes.
Thank you, Mr. Nakaoka will provide staff's report.
This ought to be an interesting one. For the past 3 years, the Park District has encountered difficulties in obtaining vehicles from the California Multiple Awards Schedule, which is CMAS. To remedy this situation, excuse me, on September 20th, 2023, staff requested the board to authorize the solicitation of bids of 11 vehicles from local automotive vendors. We can't buy anything through CMAS. We wanted to see what would happen in a public bid situation. Interestingly enough, the Park District did receive one vehicle after the board gave me authorization from CMAS that we ordered back in 2021. What it was a leftover CHP vehicle, and it just met our specifications. The cost was a little bit more than what they originally quoted me. We got a vehicle. I wasn't going to argue about it. The staff I noticed I'm losing my voice. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm losing my voice. Therefore, staff wrote up a project manual specification for 10 vehicles to be put out to public solicitation. I noticed that the binding bids for the project was advertised in the Ventura County Star on December 20th, 2023. In addition, the Park District did direct mailings to 15 local auto dealerships. We're trying to encourage a little bit to try to get the people interested in bidding our vehicles for us. Unfortunately, at the time of the bid opening, we received nothing, not one bid. We did receive one bid late from Penske Auto out of Cerritos, California. I'm not allowed to open it for our bid specifications. It was kind of unfortunate. It wasn't their fault. The instructions on the Federal Express ticket says delivered by 10:30 a.m. We didn't receive this thing until 3 o'clock in the afternoon after the bid opening.
Wayne, that's our only bid, correct?
That's the only thing we received.
So if I vote to waive that and the other board members agree, can we open it right now?
Yes.
We can do it now, yeah.
It's gonna be exciting.
Well, it may be.
I've never attended a bid opening.
What's that?
Not saying I'm going to vote that way, we gotta listen to public comment that there's no one here.
Now we're waiting
Well,
for.
based upon the uncertainty of buying vehicles through California Multiple Awards schedules and the lack of respondents to the Park District's public bid, I'm asking, or staff is asking, or requesting that the board authorize permission to waive the district's district's purchasing policy and authorize staff to procure trucks and vehicles, purchase proposals on the open market from local dealerships based upon competitive price quotes. Since Penske Auto Group did submit a bid in earnest, they tried to get here on time. It wasn't their fault. I'm requesting that the board allow me to open this thing and give them the first opportunity to sell us vehicles if it meets the specifications we want and if the price is fair and equitable to the Park District. Once I get all of the price quotes, if there's nothing in here that's any value to us, I'm going to bring back a staff report before we buy these vehicles to let you know how much they cost and what we're buying. I'm trying to get electric vehicles into this Park District because I do have to conform to the CARB requirements. They are effective as of the first of this year, and there's a lot of mandates, and I believe that Dan's going to probably make me do a presentation or a PowerPoint presentation on what the CARB and how it affects our fleet. We have 72 cars on our fleet right now. 29 of them are have to register with the California Air Resources Control Board because they're going to monitor those vehicles. Those are the ones they're interested in. They're over 8,500 pounds. But there's a methodology to how to replace them and when you have to replace them. And it's pretty quick. It's coming up. There is plenty of money available to buy vehicles. Dan has allocated close to $700,000 on this year's budget. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to spend 1 cent. That's just how it is. I have actually 3 alternatives here today. I'm requesting that the board waive the district's purchasing policy requiring competitive bidding for purchases and work over $25,000 and to allow staff to procure new vehicles based upon the open market, based upon competitive price quotes, and authorize staff to open the bid submitted by Penske Buick, GMC, and to allow them the first opportunity to provide vehicles listed in the proposal, provided we find that they meet the specifications, are in a fair price. Or the board could tell me, do not approve staff's request to waive the district's purchasing policy to procure new vehicles purchase proposals on the open market and direct staff to continue working with CMAS to purchase vehicles for the Park District. They are the cheapest option. The unfortunate part is I did contact both Chevrolet and Ford up in Sacramento that we buy CMAS vehicles from. They're only taking pre-orders from smaller government agencies. The lead time on that is 18 to 20 or 18 to 30 weeks. They don't know. They pre-order them. We don't have to pay anything up front. They can't guarantee us the vehicle, and they can't guarantee the price of the vehicle until it shows up. That's the risk we take with CMAS.
I assume that if it shows up and it's more expensive, we can decline. Like,
Yes.
you can't guarantee the price, but we can
Yes.
say so.
It's almost like the vehicle that we bought, the Ranger vehicle that came in. I think it was quoted at $44,000 originally. We paid a little over $52,000 for it, which is a fair value increase for 2 years. Adequate money, as I said, is in the budget this year for the purchase of the vehicles, close to $700,000. The Class 7 2,000-gallon water truck that I'm requesting to purchase is a direct reimbursable through a grant program that Dan got us. It's the last item in that grant that I need to submit to close it out. Staff is recommending that the board approve alternatives 1 and 2 in combination tonight. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Well, if I could just add, with the authority to go directly to dealers and buy vehicles, I'm still going to make sure, and we'll bring it to the board, that the prices that we get are reasonable. So we'll have comps from CMAS, we'll have comps from other vehicles, but and then I'll have a discussion with Wayne. If it's not a reasonable price, we'll have a discussion about, you know, how long we can keep these vehicles for, which ones are especially a priority. The challenge we have is that CMAS, our regular supplier of vehicles, can't tell us when we might be able to get vehicles. So that being said, Wayne and I, with each of these vehicles, even if we can go to the open market and get pricing, we will be checking that pricing against CMAS prices or other local prices for vehicles, other government agencies that are getting vehicles. So just because you're providing the authority for us to go explore that doesn't mean that we'll actually purchase those vehicles. They'll be subject to reason amongst us and discussion between us.
Any questions, Director Adler?
Question?
Director Denner?
I make a motion to open it right now, right?
Yeah.
Right, Kenny?
If you
I will make you assess the fair market value because I know you might need to do some research after looking at this.
There's probably only one vehicle in there.
Could be. I don't know.
It could also say we have no vehicles.
I tell you what,
I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendation 1 and 2.
Second.
I just have one question.
okay.
Did you have a question?
I have no questions, sir.
I mean, are you gonna have to go into the little room and negotiate like you do when you're buying a car?
I'm not the one who's going to do it, it's Robert Mendez. He's much better at it than I am when it
I
comes
mean,
to
it's
automobiles.
Right.
I'm going to send him to go out to get the price quotes. I'm just going to look at the paperwork.
I mean, they should handle it, whoever it is, more professionally and not,
We have to make an agreement that.
then they'll talk to their manager, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have to talk to sales manager because it'll have to be that the proposal is good for 45 days, cash only deal.
Okay.
That way I can bring it back to the board, get approval to purchase the vehicles because it's still over $25,000. And then buy the vehicle.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this item? I see none or see no one. We'll move on. Roll call, please.
Director Dennert,
Yes.
Director O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair Avila,
Aye.
Chair Freeman.
Yes.
Motion carries with unanimous vote.
Okay, I'll open it up and I'll let you know when it's time. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all good.
Now we want to know.
Zoom in on the camera.
It's like one of the most exciting things.
I bet Wayne does this all the time, so it's no longer exciting. But
You know, I've had this on my desk for 2 weeks. I've been dying to figure out what's in it.
Item D.
wait, he's opening. We have one purple truck available.
Drum roll.
It's gonna say we have 1 week to respond and we can open it up.
Yeah, you said 1 week to respond.
Did you look at that?
One,
Also,
two,
everybody
three,
4. This replays on
5,
cable
6.
television.
They bid on 7 vehicles. I can't, I'm not gonna disclose the prices right now because I gotta look them over, but they bid on 7 vehicles.
7 of the 10.
7 out of the 10,
Okay.
which is actually really good.
Thank you, Wayne.
We'll move on to 9D, approval of contract with SCI Consulting for professional consulting engineer of work and levy administration services for the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Maintenance and Improvement District for fiscal year 2024-25 to 2026-27.
Ms. Pennington will provide staff's report.
Thank you. SCI Consulting Group has been providing professional consulting services to include the preparation of the engineer work study and levy administration to Rancho City for 25 years. SCI has the expertise and experience needed to perform these services and has provided outstanding support to the district. The current contract with SCI has expired with the current fiscal year 23-24, and the proposed contract, if approved, will direct SCI to perform services in order to complete the district's assessment levies through fiscal year 26-27. The contract may be terminated before that time by either party. The contract rate for services to be rendered is for the 24-25 fiscal year is $27,500 and proposed to increase by the amount of $725 in fiscal year 25-26 and by $750 in 26-27. Pursuant to the contract, incidental costs are to be billed separately at actual cost and not to exceed $3,300 per fiscal year. Staff recommends approval of the contract and requests authorization for the district manager to execute the agreement.
Are there questions? No question? Is there any public comment or questions? I don't see any. So we'll move on to director comments. Director Evelyn? Done? I just think, I'll comment, I'm glad that the 49 million was mentioned in the staff report. That's our property tax money that's shifted to schools. And had it not been for ERAF, we wouldn't be having this contract. So, just had to editorialize a bit. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
roll call?
Director Dennert,
Yes.
Director O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair Avila,
No,
and Chair Freeman.
Yes.
So does the motion carry?
We'll move on to item 9E, approval, pay and benefit changes for our employees.
Ms. Pennington will provide the report.
As you are aware, the district engages in employee negotiations each year and successfully comes to an agreement on benefit updates for the organized bargaining groups and unrepresented employees. Although healthcare costs is often considered, the new rates for each calendar year are not typically published until late summer, which is months after the negotiations are finalized for the fiscal year. The district received notice of the CalPERS healthcare rates for 2024, which reflected a range of increases from approximately 3% to 19%. The district is committed to supporting staff with the cost of healthcare when possible, and staff is recommending the benefit change of $150 per month increase in the flexible benefit retroactive to January 1st, 2024. The financial impact is a total of on an annual basis is $133,200 to the general fund, $25,200 to the assessment fund, $10,800 to the golf fund, totaling $169,200. The funding provided for the increased expense can be supported by additional revenue received in the current fiscal year, and the annual cost will be budgeted and reflected in the 24-25 budget beginning July 1st, 2024. And attached to the staff reports are the letters of agreement from each of the bargaining groups. And staff's recommending authorization for the district manager to sign the letters of agreement on behalf of the district and proceed with the implementation of this flex benefit increase.
Are there any questions, Dr. Avila?
just brief comment.
Director Denner? O'Brien? Comment?
Right. I just wanted to indicate this one was an easy decision for me. The cost of healthcare has clearly gone up. We have outstanding employees, and if we didn't do this, we'd pretty much be wiping out the raise we gave them at a time when there was still inflation. So it's an easy decision for me, and with that, I'll make the motion to approve.
Let's move on for comments from Director Denner. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Director Dennert,
Yes.
Director O'Brien,
Yes.
Vice Chair Avila,
Aye.
and Chair Dennert, or Chair Freeman, sorry.
And I hope you all noticed you got a thank you note.
Yeah.
I did, I like that.
Yeah, and if I may, that's from the Rancho Simi employee group, which is the office staff for the
Right.
most part. But every group did extend their gratitude to the board for this very generous offer and flex increase.
Yeah, I'm actually, I usually throw this stuff out when the meeting's done. I'm keeping it. I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
It is really cool. Move on to written communication.
Staff has none.
Any other board members? Reports by board members. Director Avila.
Sure. I really only have one thing. Before I do it, the dramatic version, I'm just going to start off. I attended the dinner last night where Director Dennert received the Board Member of the Year award. So I'm going to start off congratulations, but now I'm going to emphasize just how big of a congratulations it is. With my recently deteriorating vision, I probably shouldn't be driving in the dark when it's raining and everything, but so what. And I think everyone knows kind of I'm not a big fan of the bureaucratic organization, so I probably wouldn't have otherwise been there. And I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not even a fan of elected officials giving other elected officials awards, or for that matter, even chamber members giving other chamber members awards. But I do occasionally attend the events, and that's when I think that the person receiving the award is overwhelmingly deserving of it, and you know, it's something extra special, and that certainly was the case here. So even though I got kind of short notice and had to flip some things around, I wasn't going to miss this. It's really awesome, and you really deserve it, Brian. I do want to say, you know, I think certainly there's a couple times where we've been diametrically opposed on issues, but over the 5+ years that we've been on this board together, we've had a similar vision. We've agreed on most issues and fought for a lot of issues. But certainly we have a different way of expressing ourselves. We have a different style and a different method. And I know we both care about our youth. And as you alluded to, but I'm not going to use your words because I'd screw it up because I can't do your style. But it's so important to have our youth of today to be enabled and to be empowered, and you do that with your work on the board as well as your work as a teacher, to be our future leaders, and not just to take our place, but to take our place and do better than what we're doing right now. And that's something that I've always believed. And I have to say, you expressed that and so much else so well in a brief, effective, and important speech last night. It was by far the highlight of the evening, even for me, even more than you getting the award. I thought that was such a great presentation on your part. And I want to say, I actually loved your presentation even more than you know, because last week when I came here to the office, and I could barely move around in the board member office because of all those boxes of Girl Scout things. Now I know what's going on here. So I'm glad that got straightened out for me. And one other thing, it really was a magical night for Brian. So for those who weren't there, there was and those who might be listening or watching this back at some point from our staff, there was a raffle. And Brian was for 3 prizes, and Brian selected one of the tickets, and he selected my ticket. So for anybody who wants it, there is a box of C's candies over there. I won it, but I actually think it was Brian's powers last night that made it happen. So I did take with me, and I saved it. I'm going to give you one last thing from last night. I'm going to give you the raffle ticket. Which I think that was just so cool. I think it was so fitting. So anyway, congratulations, well deserved, and it was a great evening.
Director Leonard?
I want to thank everybody that was able to make it out last night. At first, I probably should have said it, but I started laughing really hard, Ed, when you won, because I thought maybe you'd win an annual membership. And I thought that would be hilarious, but that's my sense of humor. Elaine, I wanted to thank you for your service to the organization. And Kate, I know you've taken on tasks and roles outside of our park district to keep us informed, and I appreciate both of you. I saved the piece of paper, the nomination form. Besides the kind words it said, it was just better written than things I normally write. So it was well written and had lots of nice things in there. I appreciate that. I mentioned it last night, but I know these things don't happen in the absence of a team that will hear you out, and maybe they'll agree, maybe they'll disagree, but you listen to each other. I like that. And then I also know we could come up with the best ideas in the world, but if we don't have a competent, skilled, and passionate staff, they're not going to go anywhere. A really good idea with a bad execution doesn't go anywhere, so thank you to that staff for making us look good. Besides that, I attended the Historical Society annual dinner. I like the magician. I thought he was clever, and I don't know any of his tricks, and I don't understand how he did it. And I had almost a front row seat, so that was fun. There was an arroyo cleanup with Ecos Chicos at Club Memorial High School, and my daughter and a couple of friends joined in too, and that was fun. We went back to Vista del Arroyo Park. The trail right there is really easy to get into the arroyo and pick up stuff. And then I'm looking forward to meeting with Dan in the near future again to talk about open space acquisitions and what's possible. I know it's a moving target with lots of different pieces. It's not simple. It's just saying, Dan, go do it. But if it was, I would just say, Dan, go do it. So I look forward to talking to you about that soon. That's it for me.
Director Ed?
Yes, I have several items. First of all, I want to congratulate Brian on the Board Member of the Year award. Well deserved. I'm really happy that you got it.
I've been explaining to people what Ventura County Special District Association is. Like, what is it? All those special districts.
Oh, what are special districts? Yeah, exactly. been there, done that, got a t-shirt, so I get that. So yeah, I'm really delighted. I took part in the homeless count on the 24th, the point in time homeless count. Last year I went out with our rangers, and I think next year I'm going to do that too, because if rangers know where all homeless people are, we were a group of volunteers, we didn't know, we'd show up at we'd take our area and we'd go, well, I don't see anybody, do you? No, I don't see it. And we'd go and ask shop owners and say, where are the homeless people? They go, well, there's sometimes this guy over there, he's over in the bushes sometimes. And so it was kind of it was a little, I'm not sure how accurate it was, and we know the count is low anyway, but it's a start. So it's, and it's always kind of humbling and eye-opening for me when I do this, because I think, gee, you know, one bad decision away from it, I don't know, we don't know, but it's a thought-provoking thing to do. Urge everyone to do it. Went to the Council on Aging 50th event. That was good. It was a nice event, and the video was great. I like that. Special districts, of course, the trafficking talk was disturbing. I had no idea that we had that much trafficking here in Ventura County. I'm in Seroptimus, where we support the fight for against human trafficking too. So even then, it was still disturbing and shocking how widespread it is. It was scary. Friend of mine, a husband of a friend of mine, I emailed Dan about this, and I just kind of want to follow up. There was an incident over at the community center. The husband of a woman I know is from Seroptimus. I sent you his email. Are we following up on that?
Yeah, we've already spoken with her. Teresa could probably a little more detail. I know Ranger Jim has talked to her, and so we have followed up with her.
Good.
Gotten information, and we're on the lookout for the person. So.
Good. Good. He said he was never going to enter that park again, and I would love it if he would reconsider that after we've dealt with the problem.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know, if there's anything we can do about it.
I know she's been in contact, or Ranger Jim has been in contact with
Yeah.
them. So.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I had the Historical Society meeting on Monday, which I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to say I went. Also, I highly recommend the Getty Villa in Malibu. We went a couple of weeks ago with friends. I don't know if anybody here has been there, but it's really awesome. It's a recreation of a Roman villa, and it was J. Paul Getty bought the land, built the thing, and now it's free. You have to make reservations, but it is free to get in. It might be the kind of thing that we could do as a field trip for the seniors or the ultimate recreation people sometime. But they have exhibits and they have artifacts from ancient Rome, and it's a recreation of a villa, and it's really awesome.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
It is beautiful for sure.
It is really beautiful, really gorgeous. And last of all, I'd like us to adjourn in honor of Wayne Schultz, who died maybe a week ago, late last week. He was a longtime member of the community and active in the Boys and Girls Club and Kiwanis, and giving back to the community his whole life. So I think we should adjourn in his honor. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Elena, I had one more thing. I apologize. The Oaks Lodge is hosting their first responders dinner.
Friday night.
I won't be able to be there on February 16th at 6 p.m. The reason I'm bringing it up is it's nice if somebody's able to be there.
I'm going to be there.
Okay.
I think we'll be there.
Okay. And anybody else is welcome to attend, right?
Yeah, I think we have a couple rangers going. Teresa's going to go. I'm not able to attend either, but we'll have some staff representation there.
I'm going to go. Okay. I attended the Strathern 60-year anniversary event. Was in this room, and actually the magician was good. And as usual, they have a lot of food, wonderful food that people prepare. It's really good. I think what's really interesting is the one lady who's been volunteering for 45 years. I mean, that to me is incredible dedication. And then there were several that are 30-year volunteers.
That's not true.
I mean, that's pretty remarkable, actually. I went to the Council on Aging 50-year anniversary. And they had a really neat video
Yeah.
of when the council, city council, voted to form the Council on Aging. And I went, oh my gosh, I knew them all. And Jim Smith was the mayor at the time. It was before elected mayors, and I had actually worked on his campaign. I was thinking, oh, good grief.
Where does the time go?
Okay, I had a CARPD legislative committee meeting, and I brought up a couple bills last night. I also had a CSDA legislative meeting, and this Friday, the last one was an educational on how the bills are processed and what groups they're in, and so that the people that haven't done it before get, it's more of an education. This Friday, we start going through the bills, and about that thick. They're divided into infrastructure, government, so there's so many of them. As I went through the agenda, that are just placeholders, you know, that are, the legislature pulled a number, got a subject in there, so that the meat of the legislation isn't there yet. We'll see how that goes. I also had a CSDA bylaw committee, and we're in the coastal region, and there is a vacancy to be on the CSDA board. And I have the schedule here and the requirements. I'll give to you in case anybody, any member of the board or staff, it doesn't need to be a board member, it can be staff, general manager, assistant, anyone from the district is eligible to run for the CSDA.
Elaine, does it have to be a like senior management or anything?
Beg your pardon?
Does it have to be senior management?
Yeah.
Or could it be like obviously the senior management here, but it could be part of their teams?
Yes. The deadline for filing is April 10th. So I'll give this to the general manager. We had the Strathern meeting and went over all of the maintenance issues. And I have a handout here. I just give to each of you. This is their event schedule for the year. Kate already has it,
I have
so
one,
I'll
yeah.
make sure Josh gets one of these.
Yeah.
And staff. And then last night, I also had the chamber legislative meeting, which is, Richard sits in on that, and I appreciate that. It is actually the fourth Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. And it lasts, it's very concise for about an hour. And we hear from federal and state and local representatives. So it's pretty thorough. Last night it was my honor to do the presentation, and I'm really grateful that I put in your application. So, and thank everybody for coming. I mean, it was great to have all the board there and staff, and well deserved. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, report by district manager.
Yeah, I'm pleased to report that we did not have hardly any damage from the storms of the last several days. The parks fared fairly well, or very well actually. We did have one small slide that originated up at the water tank above the golf course in Yosemite. Actually, I think it originated on city property and then went across some of our property and into the HOA, but we're coordinating with the city on that. But we fared really well. I think our parks are designed well. We have good, when they were built, there's good drainage systems in those parks, and we don't experience a lot of the problems that other communities might face. The activity center is going to be on, reviewing the activity center will be on your agenda on February 24th. I want to let the board know that we did issue a press release inviting the public in and letting them know of that meeting. We also plan to identify our stakeholders and send them specific notice and invitations to come in and review the plans for the activity center. So we're doing outreach on that like the board had requested. Mental health, we're still trying to get that meeting scheduled in. So we'll do that as soon as we can. The Arroyo Senior ribbon cutting, I still don't have a date by that. We still don't have a completion date. The project's been delayed and hampered by rain and weather. So as soon as the project, we feel confident it's going to end, we will get the ribbon cutting scheduled for that. We were successful in finding somebody to replace Miguel as our accounting position. That person will be starting with the district on February 26th. So she's ready to go, and she's a very strong candidate, and we'll introduce her once she arrives. Still working on the equestrian. It's mostly on the equestrian folks side. They're working on some logistical issues with what they need to do to enter into an MOU, primarily insurance. So we continue to wait for them to resolve those issues. The Oak Park Fire Council, just an FYI, they have idea of wanting to do some kind of demonstration garden for some kind of fire resistant planting or foliage, and they've asked to locate that potentially on a piece of property that we have in Oak Park. Still working on that with Wayne and other folks, but want to let you know that discussion or request is out there. Staff and I are working on the golf scope of work. Hope we'll have that to you the first meeting in March, and Mr. Reed and Zach are actively looking at examples and scoping out the golf consultant work we're going to do. I am meeting with the county public works or watershed protection head and a couple other folks to talk about our joint efforts on Medea Creek relative to maintenance, drainage, vegetation, and those things. So that meeting's scheduled for next week for us to get on the same page with the county relative to the management of Medea Creek. The city council is on their agenda is going to have approval of the pool grant that they approved. There's an MOU or an agreement that the city council needs to approve, which will authorize them to reimburse us for the work we've done at the pool. I expect that to go completely fine. I plan to attend the meeting and thank the council. Certainly any of you are welcome to attend. I think it'll go pretty smooth. I'll know a little bit more once I see the city agenda on that.
Next Monday night?
Yeah, the 12th, I believe, this coming Monday. The city also has, through the federal monies, there was a grant for after-school childcare. They are giving, the city is offering us the opportunity to get some funding. They're offering it to the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, and us. It's $50,000. We have the mobile rec program that's actually getting very popular. That was the outdoor programming. It has to be tied to outdoor programming and COVID-related stuff. It's one-time money, so we have the program funded. The program does not have a vehicle, so I was planning on putting in the grant application for a vehicle for the mobile rec program or a van. We currently have 2 vans. If in fact we get a 3rd van for the mobile rec program and other special events, in the event that that program is not sustainable, we'll use the 3rd van to replace one of the 2 vans at point, and then we'll go back to 2 vans. So that was staff's plan for that money from the city related to after school club and related to programming.
50,000 each?
50,000 each, yes. So I plan to submit that to the city. Let me know if you have concern with that, please. A couple years ago, the Rotary clubs had approached us about wanting to do some landscape work or planting on the entryways to the Arroyo. They were looking for a community project, and at the time, I think I had met with them, and I think we toured around, and that kind of went away for the last year and a half or 2, and now somebody from the Rotary has reached out with the idea of maybe revisiting that project from the Rotary Club, so I plan to meet with them next week. And just a couple more things. We mentioned the Elks First Responder event is a week from Friday at the Elks Lodge, and also the Salute to Excellence Award at the Chamber is the evening of February 22nd. That concludes that portion of my report. Your next meeting is fairly heavy. We may move some out to March 6th. We've got the Activity Center Phase 3 review and presentation. We are planning to bring you the ASC fees, proposed ASC fees going into next school year. A resolution to prepare the engineer, getting direction to prepare the engineer's assessment report that we have historically done. The labor, the contract for the new attorney, I expect to be on your agenda on the 21st. Potentially, we went out to bid for HVAC improvements for this building. We potentially will have that on your meeting on the 21st. We got the part-time and full-time employee of the month. We will have the Oak Park committee structure potentially on your agenda, or we will have that one on your agenda. The Marlin, we've got a small lot that somebody owns in the Mar Ranch area that they want to donate to us. So we're going to get your authority to hopefully take on that donation. And then another purchasing related item related to the Knowles Playground. That is what is on your agenda for the 21st. So the two big items there are actually 4 ASC fees, the Activity Center, the Oak Park Committee structure. I will, if we can, I'll push some of these back to the March or forward, I guess, forward to the March 6th meeting if we can, so, to balance those two meetings. That concludes my report.
Dan, for that Royal project, I know it's been delayed. Do we have a rough timeline? I won't hold you to it.
No, I haven't heard
Like a couple weeks, couple months?
No, it'd be a couple weeks, not.
Couple weeks, yeah. Couple weeks.
Okay. Not for the ribbon cutting, I just mean the project itself.
The project, yeah. Couple weeks. Couple weeks.
And then second, I think it was, you were talking about CSDA when you said that there was a board member position available. Was that the group you said there was a board position available for that?
Yes.
The reason I'm bringing it up now is, Dan, if any members of if no member of our board wants to do it, I don't see anybody jumping. No?
I've done it, so
Okay.
I want to do it again.
Well, if no member of our board jumps at that opportunity, and Dan, and talking to our staff, and you reach out to them, I think it could be a good professional development training to move forward in their career.
Mm-hmm.
So if they decide to do it, you could talk to me. I could call a couple people for them to get them support. I would do that.
I think there is a restriction on what level of staff it can be. I'll have to look at that, but I don't think it can be any staff. It's got to be a certain level of position. Yeah.
I'll hold that offer up if it's
Yeah,
relevant to
understood.
them. No pressure for them to do it, but if they saw benefit into it, I'd support them.
Okay, thank you.
With that, we do have two items in a closed session.
We do?
So let's see. Item 13A, closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, conference with legal counsel pending litigation relating to Schenkeman. Item B is closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95. The claimant is Jessica Martin, care of the law offices of Gerald L. Marcus, and the agency claimed against is the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District.
And the items C, D, E, and F are
You
not
took them off
being
the
acted
agenda.
on. Correct.
Yeah, we pulled those off the agenda.
So we will go into closed session at 8:40. Is our attorney going to report
Yes.
out?
Yes.
Are you live, Stephen?
Yep.
Okay,
good? Okay. I wasn't sure. On item A, the board approved a settlement. And on item B, the board voted to reject the claim.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before this board? Then we will adjourn at 6 minutes of 9.
Katie, in memory of.
And she wanted to adjourn in Wayne
Oh,
Schultz.
yes, in memory of Wayne Schultz.
Right.
Yes.